out on you. You know,
okay.
Great stuff's about to come out of that kid. So it's episode 17, right?
Episode 17. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome back.
Episode 17.
What?
Woo!
Woo! Finally. We made it.
We made it to 17. It's been a long time.
It's been a lot. We've been trying so hard. Can you come?
Hard.
Sorry.
No, there's basketball.
Can you come? No, sorry.
No, there's
Can
this.
you come? No,
there's
sorry.
this. Oh, we're out of town. Oh, wait. It's finally here. Yay.
I feel like we do this every time, too. The opening is like, guys, we've got so many great ideas coming back to the studio.
Right.
And every episode is we're back in the studio.
Exactly. You know what? I think it's your fault, listener. I think it's your fault because you don't go to our Facebook page and actively say, where are you guys? I haven't seen new episodes. So it's your fault.
Somebody miss us so we'll remember.
Comment on this video or on YouTube, and then we'll know that you actually want to listen to what we have to say.
Oh man, we've had quite the busy month though.
It's been very busy.
Basketball was wild.
Very busy. We had like 3 or 4 of our teams make it in a state tournament.
Yeah.
Which is very rare. Normally, like one makes it, and then they get out in the first round. But we had 2 of Vanos and Latta.
They made it to the end.
They played each other in the semifinals of state.
Yeah.
And then Vanos won, and they made it to state. But yeah, it was weird.
It was
like
crazy.
Normally, it doesn't last that long, and this time it was. Or if it lasts that long, it's one team and one game. But there was one day that we did. It was 4 games in a row. They did the Latta girls, Vanos girls, and then the Latta boys, Vanos boys, and it was like literally back to back to back to back.
Goodness.
So that was a fun day.
It was crazy. I love listening to ball on the radio because it's so funny because I don't know all the rules and like all the stats, and so I'm trying really hard. It's like this watching it on Game Changer, and you're just like, they have a this, they have a that, they stole a this, they did a that. And you're like, in your head, you're like trying to imagine people running up and down a court and being like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
And it's so entertaining that I'm kind of like, but I also like, since I don't know, I just listen for the scores and like, did my friend get hurt or something? Right.
Right.
And I just think it's hilarious. Like all these years later, and we're still like, let's put sports on the radio.
Yeah.
I was like, meanwhile, like you could stream them live on like Facebook and YouTube.
I know, but hey, with the playoff games, you have to pay to watch them online. So you don't have to pay to listen to them on the radio.
I love it. I mean, I'm here for more radio. That's probably, I'm probably a little biased coming from a radio family, but like there's sometimes I'm listening to Spotify and I'm like, that's not the mood I'm in, Spotify.
Right. They have this new thing on Spotify. It's not new. It's like probably a year old, but it's like a Spotify DJ.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's up? It's whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, I picked out some songs just for you. And there's been times that he's like, this is, I'm going to set the mood with these 5 songs right here. And I'm like, skip. And he's like, saw you weren't in the mood for those 5 songs. Let's try. It's just so funny.
Like, that's the one thing where you'll never beat a real person.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I will push just shuffle and go on like my song list and stuff. I even made this playlist. Oh, so I had a beta. I was in because I have premium. I'm in this beta where you can make your own mix, but I didn't know the list was permanent.
Oh.
And so I'm just clicking random songs. and you're supposed to, it's supposed to be like zoom, and mix it.
Yeah.
Nope. There's 3 or 4 songs we'll be listening to it and Alice will be like, yes, mom, go, because it goes I can't, it was this one I'm just gonna make this up because I can't remember which 2 they are, but I in my head I started out going a pattern, Christian, Broadway, secular, whatever, add a pattern. But once you click a certain thing, it brings up those more. And I was like, oh, I won't remember to switch. I'm not going to remember to search for that song. I'll just click it now.
Right.
And so it kind of went real quick. So now it's kind of it kind of went like patterned, and then it's like Christian, then Broadway, then whatever.
Right.
Like it kind of. Anyway, so it's but into those transitions, there's it's trying to go from a like who else is worthy kind of song,
yeah,
to there's to this song off Broadway that's like talking about the 6 ex-wives of Henry VIII. And it got like its intro is like green sleeves on like steroids.
Yeah.
And so it's like bum 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 bum. And it's like it's like so it's like who else is worthy? Bum 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 bum. And it doesn't make any sense. Like that too.
You go shuffle Leandria's like songs, and it'll be like who else is worthy, and then all of a sudden you're freaking listening to Les Mis or whatever, and so
yes, that's the vibe. And in my head, I named it Inner Thoughts with Randy because like people are gonna be like, yes, girl, this is my life too. One minute I'm like Jesus, and the next minute I'm like little drop of rain. I'm like, it's great. And no, it is not great because you can't edit it.
Oh, man.
Spotify fixed that, dang it. But it's like, but yeah, it's pretty fun. I will always stand by radio because a person mixed that.
Right.
A person mixed it. They can edit it.
Right.
They can do whatever they if, you know, depending, I mean, obviously it has to be in the same genre.
Right.
But like in general, but it's like, oh, this is why I like radio. Every time Spotify messes up, I'm like, this is why I like radio.
AI can't talk about VeggieTales and all this other stuff.
Yeah, we can talk about whatever we want.
Hey.
No, but I just get in there and I'm like, I'm listening, and I'll listen to some songs and I'm like, why is this cool? And Alice will have to explain to me.
Right. So what are we talking about today, Randy?
Well, speaking of Alice, she is my daughter that's in the youth group right now. And I thought, I ask her every Wednesday, what did you learn today? Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's not what we learned about.
Yeah.
And I thought, I wonder what the difference is between teaching and like being in the youth group, the college group, and then like a young adults, like growing in wisdom.
Right.
Like how do we grow in wisdom ourselves, and how do we grow others in wisdom and those areas? Because to an extent, it is up to the person to like go ham and like be good at it.
Right.
But in another extent, it is up to the teachers to be like, I see you.
Yeah.
And we're doing this, you know?
Well, I think it's definitely interesting because obviously different age groups need different things, and different age groups struggle with different things. And so like, obviously you're probably not going to have a like senior adult class where you're like, okay, we're going to talk about dating, you know, whatever. Or, you know, you're not going to go to a junior high class and be like, let's talk about what the Bible says. Like you're not going to be like, hey, junior high class, let's watch a Dave Ramsey clip or whatever.
Yeah.
And so different groups need different things. And I feel like the Bible's really good about pointing us to like, you know, when Jesus was around certain people, he would use certain parables for like certain people other than others. Yeah. Rather than being, you know, I think he was really intentional about, because like to us
like
it probably just seems like
culture.
it seemed like a random parable or something that doesn't make any sense, but for him it was like, okay, these people will understand this, and this is what these people are familiar with, even though most of the time they still didn't understand the parable anyways.
Even the disciples would be like, dude, can you just tell us what this one means?
My favorite one was when they were like, they wrote on there, it was like they did not know what he said, and then later they're like, what did you mean by that? Like everybody, they probably, I know they were just sitting there like looking at the crowd like, you guys getting this? Like this is gold. These are bars. Jesus spit right now.
Like and hands raised and like amen.
Okay, Jesus, actually, what are you talking about?
So BT Dubs, I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, we were lying. Sorry. Can we ask for forgiveness?
What is that, like Gen Z? Low key?
Low key, no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that that's important, and I feel like, you know, that's one of the really good ways. It's kind of the whole be in the world,
but
not of the world, is like, you know, you have to kind of know what these different groups are going through, what the issues are in the culture.
Yeah.
For certain different age groups, whether it's youth group, college, young adults, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, I was thinking about this, was like, especially in like from what we've experienced in the youth group, kind of the thing that changes the biggest is once they get a job.
Yes.
Is like they get a job, and then it turns into, oh, well, if I work more hours, I get more money.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's probably innocent at first, like, oh, if I just work a little more, I'll get a little extra money. Well, then a friend calls on a Wednesday night and says, hey, could you cover my shift? And you think, oh, okay, yeah, I'll cover your shift.
I need that.
I need a little extra money.
Sure.
I need some,
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm out of town this weekend. Can you cover my shift Sunday morning or whatever? And I think it starts out as little innocent things like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is one of the biggest things in the youth group. And then you switch to like a young adult thing, and their main challenge seems to be almost kind of like, oh, well, now I've got kids now. Oh, I've got a family now. I've got stuff to take care of now.
And like my kids are on teams. And
right, exactly. Yeah. They've got ball. They've got all this other stuff. And so I think, not to saying that any of that is inherently wrong or whatever, but I think those are kind of the two distinctive major challenges or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like the culture looks on them in a certain way too. Like they see the young kids and they're like the youth group, and they're like, oh, well, they're probably dumb. They don't know what's up. And then they look at like the college group and they're like, oh, they're probably just out partying all the time. And like, and then, like there's these like the world culture and like church culture vying with each other over these people.
Right.
Like it's because they are busy, and maybe they do take that one shift and then did you see that they took that shift?
Right.
Are they going to start working now?
Right.
And it's like, or like they probably don't even read their Bible. Like they're working all the time. Like there's these. It's like I feel like that's part of the challenge too. Is I feel like as a teacher, you should teach the same. Like you should teach as if they're here, they want to know.
Right.
So who cares what they're doing, because they do need to be following Christ. But like, so what if they have to work one shift? If they're not working all the shifts, when you're there, you teach them like they want to be there.
Right.
Because I think that is a problem too. Because sometimes we get in our head like this, like holier than thou kind of vibe sometimes. Yeah. And you're like, they can feel that.
No, yeah. And I think that like one of the biggest things I had to learn was like I would show up at church and then I'd be like, oh, so and so's not here. So and so's not here. I wonder where so and so is. This person hasn't been here in 3 weeks. Or or whatever. And I had to realize that like, okay, yeah, but there are kids there. Yeah. And so it's like, focus on the ones that are there. Teach what you're supposed to teach to the ones that are there. Yeah. And God will deal with everything else. But I do think that it is like you said, like a culture clash of like there's this like pull of God is saying, I want all of your time, but then also the world is saying, I also want all of your time. And so it's like, but then like we said, you have to be in the world because you do have to have a job. You do have to raise a family. Like you've got stuff that's going on. And so it's like how do you balance the two kind of thing is where it comes into big picture.
Yeah. And I like how what you said, like God, like when Jesus told the parables, he was in that because that's kind of why the prodigal son is the way it is. Right. Like he's the fact that by the end of it, that the youngest one had been with pigs, and that the dad's like running. Yeah. Like things, giving him the ring and the robe and like all these things like, there was things in that people would have been gasping. Yeah. Absolutely gasping. And the fact is like, Jesus was trying like to say with some of these things was like, listen, like grace is to be had. And like, I'm pursuing you with it. Like just hear what I came for this. Right. And that's what I was like saying. I was reading some Bible verses was like, all of them, when you're looking up wisdom in the Bible, it's like wisdom comes from God. Like you have to seek God and fear the Lord to get wisdom. Yeah. Right. It's all about submitting and fearing the Lord. And that comes the same. I have to do that the same exact way you would have to do that, as the same exact way our kids would have to do that.
Right.
It's the same exact way our parents would have to do that. Like, wisdom is something that is obtainable at every fraction of your life. I'm saying that backwards.
Right.
But anyway, like, it's each step.
Yeah.
If you're seeking, you can seek it each like level of your life, and you could get it. And I just think that's wow. As a teacher, though, sometimes it's hard to see that.
Right.
Like, so I've, because I've been a teacher and then I'm being taught, and like right now we call ourselves the young adults class. But we also got made like a college class, because there's kind of this weird gap where there is like the like adult Sunday school class.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, I mean, there's really good people in it. I'm not dogging on it, but there was just some, like, there was kind of like some of us that were in that middle
right.
age.
Well, there's the stigma of that's the old people
right.
class.
And there was quite a bit of older people in it. And I went to it a couple of times and I liked it. I liked the people in it. But I was just like, I mean, like, thank you for your godly wisdom, but that's not where my life is.
It's just the same thing. It's just like, I mean, even 20-year-old versus 18-year-old, that's only a 2-year age gap.
But it's a lot.
The things that they're dealing, I mean, the life that a 20-year-old is living versus an 18-year-old is living are so completely different. So much less a group of 6-year-old people versus a group of
like
40-year-old people. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you can imagine, like,
right.
what those 60-plus people need has got to be a whole lot different than what the 30 to 40 age group people
and then
need.
the next group under us, under like the 40s, are the 18s.
Right.
Like, it's 18 to 20-year-olds. And it's different. Like, some of the people in my class are parents of the 18 to 20-year-olds.
Right.
And it was just kind of like, I don't know, it just got me thinking about it, because we actually ordered the same books.
Yeah.
So the college and the young adults class use the same book. And we love it. We love the young adult book. We think it's fun.
Yeah.
But compared to like the senior class, we're kind of like, nah, these are funny. But even still, being from like teaching youth to having to like sit and like listen to some of these lessons, I'm like, I don't know, they're not bad, but I'm just like, do we really, are we really putting the thumb on what we all need right now? Because there are times where we won't even make it through a lesson. We just start talking about other stuff, and we talk about like prayer requests and stuff, and we kind of make it through. But like I was talking to like the college kids the other day, and like they go, yeah, this is kind of more like our guideline. Because it's kind of like, can you make books and teach out of them for multiple ages?
Right.
And it just got me thinking, what is the difference? Because the youth, I don't know if they're using the same books as like the young, like, is the youth group and the young adults and the college all using the same one? I don't think they are, but we are talking about similar things, because that's what they do with those, like, especially with those Lifeway books. They try to keep them all in the same like vein,
like cohesive and stuff.
And so that's what I was realizing is sometimes when Alice is learning about something, we've learned about it too, but Zeke's took that and like took it completely.
Right.
And so we took the same lesson. We learned 2 different lessons on it.
Yeah.
Does that mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's cool. It's cool, but it's also kind of annoying.
Right.
Because there's sometimes I'm like, I want to learn your lesson. Can I be a 7th grader?
I don't want to learn about, I already know this.
You know?
Which that is very,
it's wild.
It is hard, because especially for our group, because we have the college kids, which we only have 3 of them.
Yeah, us too. We only have like 3 or 4.
3 or 4 of them in there. And then we've got, a lot of upperclassmen, but we do have like 7th graders and 8th graders. And so it's like, especially when they're all in the same room, it's kind of one of those things, like, how do you prepare a lesson that's not too boring for the older people, that they're like, oh, why do I need to keep going to church if I hear that story? I've heard that story 18,000 times.
Yeah.
And so you have to have it deep enough to where the older kids, won't not that they're going to just quit church or whatever, but not to where
at least they're not like checking out.
Right. But then also, how do you make it to where the 6th grade or 7th grade kids are not like, this is so above my head, I have no idea what he's talking about, I don't even know who Abraham is, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, if you can find that happy medium of like, because one thing that I think is about that in particular is kids know when you're being fake.
Yes,
and they also don't like being talked down to.
Yes.
And so, but then again, there's a fine line with, I don't want to talk down to you, but I also don't want to, say so many big giant words that you just are lost and have no idea what I'm talking. Because I want you to get what I'm trying to get at. I want you to get the meeting. I want you to get something out of this. But then I also don't want to talk down to you. But that is one thing that I've noticed is that like people are really good. The fake radar in people's brains are pretty
top notch.
Pretty top notch.
Yeah.
And so people realize when you're being fake, and people can also realize when they're being talked down to, and nobody likes that.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of one of those things where it's like you have to find that because junior high and high school and college and young adults and old people all need different things.
Yeah.
And so like I think it's really good to try to find something that like, if it is something like, okay, the entire church, we're talking about, whatever, prodigal son, and be like, the older people, you can come at it from this angle, whatever.
Yeah.
I do think that's good, but I kind of feel you sometimes where it's just like, oh, I wish I would have learned what they learned because I already knew what we
and it's not like because the people do a bad job because, like I said, we follow a book, but it's like, oh, man, that's a good angle.
Right.
But I wrote this down. I was like, something I kind of realized as we were teaching and as I'm watching people like teach me and others, each person is different. Each church is different. Each family is different. And they're all going to have a personal view and a personal like system.
Right.
And I realized like, so there's things that I say this all the time to Adam, like the older I get, the more I'm like, dang, especially the more like youth group chronicles we watch. Shout out youth group chronicles.
Yeah. They're probably going to shout us out too.
Man. So the youth group chronicles, they have this new segment and they call it Fine or Fired or something like that. I'm saying it. I'm totally butchering this probably. But basically what they're like is, would that be cool? Like whatever they're doing right now, was it cool? Was it funny? Was it doable?
Right.
Or no, they're being fired now. Like, and it's like this thing, like a joke like that.
Yeah.
And there's some of those I'm like, I think we did that. and I tell Adam all the time, I'm like, the older I get, the more I'm like, thank the good Lord above that we were related,
right?
/ family friends with half the people in our youth group. Not that we were bad, but it just made us more bold. We tried so many things that, like, in this world of PC living, like, we would not have lived.
No.
Like,
well, yeah, because what you could be like, I'm gonna tell my mom. Be like, okay, I will also tell our mom. Whatever.
Yeah, and it was just like, or I'm like, I'll tell your mom, my aunt.
Yeah.
I did tell Adam, though, I was telling him that the other day. I was like, as far as like games and stuff, which is what they kind of document the most, we kind of wowed out. But there was a part of it where I think we kind of were bold in our teaching too, because we're like, screw it, let's go.
Right.
Because we were like, what if we accidentally teach you the wrong thing? Me and Adam were actively learning who we wanted to be in Christ ourselves.
Right.
And you do that as you're teaching yourself.
Right.
Like that's like every teacher will tell you that.
Yeah.
And I just told him, I was thinking about the other day, and I just told him, I was like, it's just so wild to me. Like some of the stuff we've taught y'all, it's coming out like it was from bad teachers, but the lessons are still there. Like I still hold on to some of those lessons, and I know like, and I've seen you grow in certain ways that, I'm not saying it was from us. I'm saying like, I've seen you grown and be bold in some ways that as a kid you would not have.
Right. And
so I'm kind of like, maybe that's just how teaching goes, since everybody's different and each like church is kind of like an ecosystem.
Right.
Maybe that's how it goes. Like maybe your church is always going to teach different than this other church, but as long as they're getting their wisdom from the Lord,
right,
like maybe it'll work out,
right?
You know?
Yeah. So I wrote a couple of verses down. I know you've got a couple also, but one of them where it says like it's Proverbs 1:7 where it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and then another one it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Yeah.
And then in Job chapter 28, it says, and he said to the human race, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and shun evil is understanding, basically saying that like wisdom is portrayed as like a practical thing. Because I think that like, you know, because even like James, I think it's James, where he just says like, if you want wisdom, just ask.
Yeah, I have it written down. It's James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to you, to all, without finding fault, and it'll be given unto you.
Right. So I mean, like, asking.
God looks in your heart and was like, "Yeah, okay, that kid,"
yeah,
and gives you wisdom.
Yeah, and so like you'd be like, I just think it's so funny because like I think sometimes we think like, oh, these people are so smart, or I'll never be able to teach as good as this particular pastor, or you know, I don't know how this pastor could be so bold, or I don't know how, you know, stuff like that. And you're like, well, how did they get wise or whatever? And Bible's really like, would you like some?
Yeah, the Bible is crammed full of ask for it.
Right, right, exactly. It would be like if you went to Walmart and you were just standing in the cereal aisle and you were like,
I wish I could have cereal.
I wish I could have some cereal. And it's like, okay, just get it. Just ask for it.
The worker walks by and is like, boop.
Like, here, it's right here. Are your arms broke? But yeah, so I think that like, you know, that's one of the biggest things that I've had to learn is like, you know, like, especially because different age groups need different things.
Yeah, but wisdom is wisdom, yo.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's like, the Bible is the Bible.
Yeah.
And, you know, even though that like the kids that I have are, I mean, maybe they're not, but they seem a whole lot different than the kids that were like in our youth group.
Yeah. I think that's what trips me up is like, I don't remember being like this.
Right.
But then some of the people I was with in youth group, they ain't nowhere near Jesus no more. You know? So maybe like that's it. Maybe that's the difference. Maybe some of these kids really are seeking real wisdom.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things of like,
it's crazy.
You know, it's like, everything's, you know, nothing's like, was like nothing new under the sun or whatever.
Yeah.
But also like, we've talked about this in a couple episodes ago about how like some of the stuff that kids today deal with, we never had to go through.
It's just far different.
Or the stuff that the kids learn in 7th grade is stuff we learned about in college.
Yes. And I think that's why I started thinking about it, because I'm like, some of these kids talk to you and you're like, that took me way too long to figure out.
Yeah.
Like even Alice will talk about stuff from that Zeke's talking to them about. Mm-hmm. And I get all giddy because I'm like, yo, no one told me that till like college and career class. And it's like, it's not to down any of my teachers or anything. It really is just environmentally. Yeah. It's changed so much that you have to pivot and realize like these kids need to be, not that you shouldn't always be that way.
Right.
Not that our parents didn't want us to be wise with the Lord either, but I'm saying like it's far more needed at a younger age for them to understand what we were talking about.
Right.
Like by the time you hit junior high, you've heard so much crazy that if you're not seeking like the kingdom of God and all his righteousness.
Right. No, I mean, it's bad.
The things added unto you are going to be
very bad.
Very bad.
Very bad. And I feel like that's very important because, you know, I mean, part of it's just because, you know, you have access to anything you want at any given time, you know? And I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's just, I think that like inherently kids are the same today as they were 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. But I do think that like, since it's so easy for them to, I mean, because you could just look up, you know, I don't know, anything you want.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what's the truth, if you don't know what wisdom is, if you don't know what like smart things are, you'll just believe anything.
Yeah.
Especially because it's happening at younger and younger and younger and younger ages where you're getting bombarded with all this crap.
Exactly.
Then I think that like if you're younger and younger, then you're more likely to believe the crap.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but so then it's, well, again, it goes back to the thing of like, you know, is the stuff that the young adults and youth and college people are learning about right now, is that the stuff that should be talked about in junior high classes now? Because, you know,
like where is it? Like how do we adjust? Because we talk about this all the time. We're like, in our Sunday school class, like I said, we've got parents of like our oldest is 14, about to be 15, but their oldest is like 18, 19.
Right.
And, well, except for one couple, their oldest is like 5, but he's super cute and he's very smart. But but they, you know, we're talking about this kind of stuff, and that's even good for them to hear too, because they know maybe they can learn how to help train their kid.
Right.
But we talk about how, like, why do they fall off?
Yeah.
And why do you need a college class? Why do you need a youth class? Like, why do we need, as parents, a young adults class? And the truth is because we need the fellowship,
right? And
we need the encouragement of how to do the next step.
Yeah.
And the truth is that there are sometimes I've kind of noticed this listening to different sermons and stuff. You know, since everybody is different, everybody's family is different, we kind of, sometimes you take for granted that you did get to come to church all the time.
Right. That
you did get to go to youth group activities all the time.
Right.
That you've been bombarded with the gospel of Jesus from birth.
Yeah.
Because they're, especially in public school, the person sitting next to you, their parents may be doing crazy bad stuff in front of them. Their parents may use God's name only as a bad word. You know, they might come to church on Easter, like, you know, or Christmas, like but somehow, you know, and then there's that person that's kind of in between where the friend invited them to church. So you're doing everything you can to keep them in church, but the parents are doing nothing.
Right.
And I think the older I get, that's where I really am like, what is it? What is it that turns these people off? Like, what is it? And the truth is, if they're not seeking the wisdom of God, like they're not seeking the Lord's righteousness, they're not seeking, like understanding and knowledge through Him for themselves, then they're not going to have the wherewithal to stand to these people, and they're going to fall off.
Right.
And I think that's why I'm like, we need to start at as young as possible to show them like God is the way. Yeah. You know, like Jesus is the way. Because I don't know, it just makes me, that's what I keep coming back to, is like wisdom really is the key to all of this, which is why Solomon is kind of a crazy story. Right. He asked for wisdom and he still just was like a trash guy sometimes.
Bro, the most wives. So how are you so wise and have the most wives? That's what I want to know. How?
Right? Like, come on, dude. Surely by the third nagging one, he was like,
gosh. I can't imagine.
God, you're right, my bad.
Because they couldn't have all been good. There's no way they were all good.
No, because it talks about them having false idols. Like, you know, and like pulling him away from the Lord.
There's like that one verse in Proverbs where he's talking about, he says like a nagging wife or whatever. You know, he was like, I'm writing this
down. It's about you.
She was like, don't put that in, you know, whatever.
I was going to try to make up a name, but honestly, none came to mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's important about, you know, kind of, you know, putting a whole bow on the whole thing is, you know, like Jesus, how we talked about at the beginning, was like when he gave parables, he was doing it with wisdom, and he and he had to grow in wisdom and in stature, and so like he had to learn stuff. He had to grow. Like he wasn't just like in the manger being like, I am the Holy One, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like he had to grow. He had to learn.
He had to go to class like all the other boys did.
Exactly. And so like, I just feel like in the same way that like, you know, how Jesus he read the room. He knew which people he was talking to.
Yeah.
He knew the group he was talking to or whatever. Like when he was with the Samaritan woman, or like whenever he would talk about like the Canaanite lady or whatever. And so like all these different people had all these different lifestyles and all these different cultures and backgrounds and things like that.
It was the message was the same.
Right.
It was the carrier that was different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that's part of the reason why it's so important in church to make sure that, you know, your youth class is solid, that you try, even if you don't have enough, maybe you're at a small church and you don't have, you know, I don't have anybody to teach a college class, or I don't have anybody to teach a young adults class, or I don't have anybody to, you know, whatever. Just to try to realize that different people need different things.
Yeah.
And different age groups need different things or whatever. And because, you know, I don't know, we've talked about this before also, but there was a couple years ago where, anyway, so the guy, he would preach and he would be like, you know, King James version it up or whatever. And he was just so like monotone and like, which I'm sure there were probably older people in the crowd that were like, this is so great. This is exactly what I needed to hear. I needed this. This was my sermon or whatever.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, this
But
blessed
for me as a sophomore in high school or whenever, you know, whenever that was.
That would, 100 Years of Falls Creek would have been 2017?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, 2017.
So, I mean, like, it would have just been like, it was just one of those things. I was just like, what are we doing here? You know, whatever. I mean, it was still good or whatever, but I just think it's really important for everybody to realize is that, like, and then on a personal level, there may be people that are like, you know, you look at somebody else and you're like, how are they so smart? How does that, like, how do they just get it? Maybe somebody, you know, maybe you don't learn as fast or you know, whatever. Or maybe, you know, you're like, man, I've been in church my whole life and this person came up and they said something that completely just broke my brain about theology or whatever. Yeah. And I just think it's like, you know, everybody grows at their own pace. Everybody, you know, it happens in your own time. But if you'll just ask for it.
Yeah.
Like there's so many other things like spiritual gifts and other things that he doesn't say, if you want it, just ask for it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's not like, oh, you want, you know, I don't know, something, fill in the blank of anything else. He's not like, oh, just ask for it and I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not a lot of the stuff you read. There is a gifting of,
right.
Like it's a gifting of, but wisdom, it doesn't say the Holy Spirit comes and gives you wisdom, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It says, you want insight?
You want it?
You want wisdom?
Just ask.
Ask God's pretty generous. I think he'd give it to you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Like, if you ever thought about, like, go ask your mom and she'll let you stay the night.
Yeah. And it's why I think it's because without wisdom, you can't use any of the other stuff properly.
Right.
And so it's like, if you're actively seeking wisdom, then God, the Holy Spirit would know, like speaking in tongues or something.
Right,
they would know, you would know when's the proper time to do that.
Right.
Right? Like, or like prophesying and things like this. If you have wisdom, the Holy Spirit knows, you know when to properly use that.
Right.
And how to properly use that.
Well, I think it's kind of like, if you're like, the wisdom is almost like a foundation for your house.
Exactly.
Kind of like if you start your house and it's horrible foundation, then your house is going to suck and it's probably going to fall down. And so I feel like once you have that, because if you just ask for it, and then you get that started, like you said, I feel like then the Holy Spirit's like, oh, now you know how to deal with this and how to deal with this.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I think that's important.
There's a verse I found, Colossians 3:16. Let the message, it says, I must have missed a word, but it says, anyway, I'm going to skip this bit because I think I messed this bit up when I was writing it down. But it basically says, teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. And I thought, basically it was like teaching each other. It says teach and admonish, which was like lifting each other up.
Right.
With all wisdom. And it says through psalms, and hymns and songs. And it was like, so it's not, you could do that. You could literally add anything there though, because it's like, that's kind of the point of Sunday school, right?
Right.
Lift each other up in wisdom through reading the word, through singing these songs about God. Because how are you going to know? How do you really know God? You seek him first.
Yeah.
How do you seek him and find him? Through the word.
Right.
And I thought that was a good one because it was like, it kind of goes with the Ephesians 4:1 where it says, I urge you to live worthy of the calling you have received. Because it's like, this is what it is. If you're walking in the calling you have received, you're going to admonish each other up with the Psalms.
Right.
And through that, you will be seeking his kingdom and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Right? And if you start, I've noticed that, like, sometimes when you can watch people do that. Like, I see kids who act like a fool sometimes, and then you'll see them talking to someone else about the Lord, and you're like, there it is. There's that spark.
Right.
And that this is it. They're starting to seek the wisdom now. And it's cool to watch. And it is, I think that spark happens in different ways with different people. And maybe that's why it's so hard to transition through.
Yeah.
But that's what you want. You want that just little spark.
Right.
To see, oh, God's working in them. This is good.
Right. I got one more. It goes along with that. So it's Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15. It says, be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. And so I feel like that kind of goes along with what we were saying earlier. It was like that there's a reason, like, this is important. It's not just like, oh, I want to be wise so I can
do whatever I want.
I'll be real smart and I can come up with a bunch of stuff or whatever.
No, it's not about smartness.
It's not about smart. It's not about, it's
not about age.
Or
it's not about
perception or anything like that. It's about, okay, listen, we live in a bad time. And you got to know what's right and what's wrong. You have to know the difference between, because how we mentioned, it seems like what people learned as 30-year-olds, now they learn at 20-year-olds, and what people learn at 25 now learn at 15.
Yeah.
Because of that, I think it's very, like, it kind of goes along with, the days are evil. Like, people are actively trying
to deceive you
at younger ages.
Yeah, because they know the younger people, if they can get emotional with these younger people, then they'll have future activists for their side.
Exactly.
Right. Not to get too political, but that really is like, that's, people have realized if they say, I'm so close. Oh, so close. Okay. It's okay. So, like, not to get too political, but people have realized if they say they're a Christian, it gets them more votes or it gets them more sympathy or empathy or whatever.
Right.
And the fact is if you're not seeking the wisdom of the Lord, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, that guy.
Yeah.
That person. And that could be for anything. That could be for school president.
Yeah,
that could be for the actual president. That could be for somebody who's actually closer to a motivational speaker than a preacher. But you now have them running your whole church.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And so I do think that's what kind of put me onto it, was watching these different age groups and the way they answer questions and the way they talk about stuff. Is what really is the difference? Is there a difference?
I don't know.
Or is it, let's not look at the differences and let's start at the beginning, which is growing in wisdom.
Yeah.
So I know. That's what I came up with today. What do you think?
There you go. That's pretty good. Hey, put in the comments what your favorite Bible verse is about wisdom.
Yeah, there's 1.5 million. There's a
lot. There's a lot. So there you go.
All right. Well, until next time.
All right. Bye.